to the Theme Park Duo Podcast. Grab your seven-time monster friends and hop in line as we take you on a creepy tour of some of the best haunts around. Now, here are your scary hosts, Nikki and Gabriel.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Theme Park Duo Podcast. It's the second to last episode of our Halloween season.
No, don't say it. It's so sad.
It's okay, Gabe. It's okay. I'm one of your hosts, Nikki.
And I'm your other host, Gabriel.
The sadder host.
The clearly sadder host. Much sadder. I've been crying consistently in a ball in the corner of my apartment.
It's very awkward.
Yeah, especially when we're trying to eat food.
I just kind of shove it like in the ball and
hope that it's my mouth.
Yeah.
That's what she hopes.
Yeah.
Moving on from this awkward conversation. Today we're talking about Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood. Now, we've been going to Halloween Horror Nights for a lot of years now. We're pretty big fans of what they do there.
I think I'm 5 years running. Like 5 years straight.
Yeah, you've been going 5 years straight. I've been going a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. I don't know the numbers. Can't think of it off the top of my head right now.
I just saw it
I would have to go
Facebook.
to the library to figure it out and go to the encyclopedia to find out the information.
That's excessive. I just went to Facebook and it showed me the first time I went.
You can do that?
Well, it just popped up. Like, literally, it was like 5 years ago today.
It's like HHN anniversary. Woo!
Kinda.
That's weird.
Anyway.
But yeah, we've been going for quite a while now. We're pretty big fans of what they do there. So every year we're really excited to see what IPs they have, because that is what Halloween Horror Nights is really known for, is bringing to life the horror movies that we love and know so very well. And they've done that so well in the past.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to chat about what we saw this year at Halloween Horror Nights. Overall, I feel like this year is not as good as years in the past. I feel like there was a lot of missteps in this year's planning and designing of a lot of the mazes. That's not saying there aren't awesome things this year. It's just overall, as an experience for the event, I feel like there are things that were not done as well as they normally are, especially with the high standard that they have already set for themselves.
I agree, definitely. It's definitely not their strongest year. I can't say I was too excited going into this year, which says a lot, because usually I'm pretty excited about something.
I mean, were you excited about The Shining when they announced that?
Well, I was more nervous, because I didn't know how they were going to interpret it.
I mean, it's hard. Like, The Shining is an extremely hard property to translate into a walk-through attraction, especially given the fact that the film is so highly reliant upon framing and music and timing and a lot of things like that, which is really hard to translate into a walk-through attraction, especially given just the feel in general. There's this creepy feeling that the Stanley Kubrick's The Shining just has overall from beginning to end.
Yeah. And then I think for like the rest of the event in general, I feel like I just wasn't as excited this year, because it seemed to be quite a few repeats. You know, Saw, Titans of Terror is basically a rehashing of everything they've done in the past for you know, Freddy versus Jason and Texas Chainsaw. You know, so it's like, and even The Purge was in Blumhouse, so it's all the stuff we've seen before. So going into this year, I wasn't as excited for the new mazes, you know, as I have been in the past.
I do have to say that The Shining was really the only one that was on the list of mazes for this year that I was excited for. Every other one felt kind of like okay, that makes sense. Okay, I guess that's okay. And nothing else really struck my fancy as much as The Shining did.
I mean, they weren't bad mazes, and we'll get into that when we go through each one. It's just stuff we've seen before. Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think to a certain extent, some of them were not very good at all.
Well,
compared to like some. It's just weird. We'll get through it all.
Yeah, that's why I said we'll get into it.
Yeah,
when we talk about
the comparison you'll see that there's drastic differences in quality. So,
Yeah.
First off, let's talk about the scare zones they have this year. There's 3 different scare zones, and what major difference is going on is the fact that they are not utilizing the French Street or the Baker Street for their scare zones this year at all.
Not at all.
The scare zones are mainly in the entrance, the tunnel going from the lower lot to the back lot, and then on the back lot there's like a mini scare zone, mini maze type thing out there as well. I know that a huge portion of the reason why things got moved around because of construction and other stuff going on in the park, and that's the reason why that things are the way they are right now. But I am really not a fan of the way that they place the scare zones this year. I feel like it's just lacking.
I think that construction can only be used as an excuse so far. There's no reason not to use the French Street and the other street.
Well, I think they didn't use it mainly because, that doesn't even have an excuse either.
There's no excuse.
Because they've had a maze back there before,
Yeah.
and you've exited into whatever masquerade or whatever that one was over there, or corpse. You would go out into that area right after you exited. So there is no excuse for not having scare zones over there.
The only thing under construction is the one area to the right, towards the entrance, across from Starbucks.
Which is the reason why we don't have the fire cannons.
Exactly, but that's literally the only thing disturbed. It's not like we don't have a maze in the Waterworld queue. Everything else is completely where it was before. So there really is no excuse for the placement of the scare zones this year, except I don't know.
I really don't. I honestly
know.
don't know the reasoning behind it, but I do prefer when scare zones take up those 2 streets. You have an entry scare zone, and then personally you have a scare zone in the lower lot and then the back lot.
Yeah.
I like that layout more than placing all of your coins into the tunnel.
Yeah.
Or just an entry and then a lower scare zone. The first scare zone that we end up walking into is Halloween, which I actually love this theme so much.
Yeah, we both really liked it.
It is just such a strong concept. Has chainsaw wielding pumpkin people, still walking werewolf and skeletons.
They have a demented teddy bear in a onesie.
Demented teddy bear in a onesie. Yeah, he's a character that's come back from the past.
Yeah.
You have sheet ghosts that are terrorizing just vampires in general. There is just so many really cool, iconic characters in this scare zone.
It's just fun.
And it's really fun to just sit there and watch these guys, because out of all the scare zones, for me, this one was the one that was most entertaining to sit down and just appreciate the art of scaring.
Yeah. But that's really all it was. It was just the characters. Like, there were a few projections on the walls, but other than that,
they had the lights going by that said "Happy Halloween," and it would like cut through the fog, and it would cause these really cool effects.
The one pull away prop.
They had 3 of them.
Oh yeah.
They had like the main one that said "Happy Halloween" on it.
Yeah.
And then to the right, where you normally have like those barkers who, like the guy and the girl above on the windows during the daytime, they had a couple over there which were just like dead kids or dead kids screaming and dressed up in monsters and stuff like that. But other than that, like you were saying, there really isn't much.
It's just
to the scare zone with regards to
actor-driven.
decoration. Yeah, it's highly actor driven, and for it only being actor driven, I'd say they're doing a pretty dang good job.
Oh, definitely.
Because you're not thinking about the decorations. Normally I'm looking around and I want to be enveloped in this, but the actors are so high energy that there is no time to really look around because you're just worried about the next scare coming.
Yep, definitely.
So that's definitely a thumbs up for that. The next scare zone that you have to really go out of your way for if you want to go to experience the lower mazes is the Toxic Tunnel, which essentially is workers who have run into this toxic area and their suits are starting to melt into their faces and their bodies, and they're deformed and things like that, which it's just that strip of tunnel where they have loud music, flashing lights and things like that. It was very high energy when we saw it. Like, the monsters were jumping off the walls and a lot of things like that. But I mean, overall, it was just kind of boring.
Well, yeah, they don't have any sets or anything. No props, nothing. It's just the actors in the tunnel. But I love this scare zone in particular because you have to go through it. There's no choice. what you're in for when you see that tunnel up ahead. It says toxic tunnel. You're filled with dread. And that feeling of going into a scare zone where there's no escape, no way out, you just have to go through it is my favorite feeling. And honestly, my problem with Halloween Horror Nights in past years, and this year to a certain extent, is that the scare zones are avoidable. And I love that this one is not avoidable. Yes, it's just actors in a tunnel, but that in itself is creepy enough to make me love it. You know, you have to go in there. You have to go in there to get 3 of the mazes.
I feel like they needed to have a few more monsters in there, though.
But that could have just been timing.
It could have been timing, but at the same time, like, at least when we went through twice now, it felt like there was only monsters on either side. There never really felt like there was an even amount of monsters coming from either end.
To be fair, we only went once during normal operating hours. The second time we went, when we went back and forth, it wasn't even 7 o'clock yet. The park wasn't opened.
Which is another issue that we can talk about later.
Yes. So there were no monsters in there, because the monsters only come out after 7.
That's true.
Yes.
So, but you are correct. You do have to go through this scare zone. I mean, you actually can't, to be honest, you can't really avoid Halloween because a portion of it really is at the beginning where you have like the go-go dancers and a lot of the chainsaw guys go that far towards the entrance. And you have to go, the only way that you could go if you wanted to try to semi-avoid it is if you're to hook a left towards Baker Street, but even then you can't go right because it's blocked off because of the maze Blumhouse.
Well, yeah, but
can't get past there.
If you go in during early entry, you can pretty much avoid it except when you're going to Titans of Terror in the Waterworld queue and when you're leaving. So,
or Blumhouse.
Well, Blumhouse, you can avoid it.
No, the Blumhouse entrance is on the left-hand side.
Okay, I guess you have to go in a little bit.
You have to go through it.
So yeah, that one also you have to go into a bit.
Yeah. And then the last scare zone they have, which is in the back lot, which is the one that I was most excited for, but the one that delivered the least for me, in my opinion, is Urban Inferno. And it was just supposed to be like a Hell on Earth situation, I guess. Is that what you would say?
I think so.
They're devils and demons and just animal creatures in general.
Post-apocalyptic.
To a certain extent.
Yeah, I'd say like all hell has literally broken loose on like a metro environment, and this is the chaos that happened, I'd say.
And the reason why I think for me this was a little bit of a disappointment was because it really isn't a scare zone. It's like a mini maze, kind of similar to what they did for The Purge a couple years back, where you have to dedicate yourself to going through this area where it kind of winds in and out of itself. And a lot of it was just kind of it felt like just kind of props thrown in there with a lot of netting and then shaker can monsters, which to me just felt kind of cheap. And also when you're walking through it, you're just in this herd of people. It's not like a scare zone where the monsters really get to roam around and cut through people and get around, and there's a lot of equal opportunity scares going on.
Yeah.
This was just a herd of people constantly going through that scare zone. I don't think there was one time that night when we were there that we saw it not packed full of people.
Yeah. I don't understand why they feel the need to make their scare zones so restricted. You know, it's like, why is it that the monsters aren't going to go past here? Like, there's a dedicated entrance to the scare zone that you can easily pass if you wanted to. And it's like, I just don't understand why they don't have full reign of the back lot. Like, I don't get it. Like, honestly, it's just one more thoroughfare that, you know, they could just creep out onto, and then there would literally be no place to hide down there, and it would be so much more fun and exciting. It's so restrictive the way they do it down there, and it's not scary because, like you said, Gabe, you're being herded through with like hundreds of other people, seriously. So it's like you're just trying not to get trampled because it is kind of narrow and it's weaving, and you don't even have time to appreciate it because it's a way to get to the other mazes, and that's all that people care about, and it's not what it's supposed to be. I think it's not a scare zone.
It's a mini maze.
It's a mini
outdoor maze.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to, you could skip it.
You could skip it.
Which should not be skippable.
Which is my biggest pet peeve. Don't call it a scare zone if you can skip it.
Well, it is a scare zone because it's dedicated to one stupid zone.
You know what I mean?
And just in general, think about how it would feel if you're walking down that hill and you're looking at the metro set. You know that some of the mazes are back there, and you're met with a line of chainsaw people, or just a line of monsters that are there. They could easily put a barrier up from that hill over to the set and have one person guarding it, and then have all the monsters just roaming in that area, and you cannot avoid it.
Yeah.
So you would have to just go throughout that metro set in order to get over to the mazes, because there's doors and stuff that they could open up through those sets, so you could have to walk through it. They would open those up and just open the area up in general. Yes, you could have some rollaways. I don't even care if the decorations are rollaways, but at least it's open and the monsters can have the opportunity to run around and really create the feeling, as opposed to being forced within a area that doesn't. It feels very forced.
Yeah.
I think for us in general, this is the major criticism for this year one of the major criticisms
criticism every year.
True, but in general, that is a major criticism of this year in particular as well, is the scare zones kind of feeling lacking in general.
And we're not going to delve into it because we have a whole other episode dedicated to it, but even Springfield, in Orlando, there were clowns in Springfield.
There was 20 to 25 clowns with chainsaws just roaming around.
Why the heck do we have nothing up there in Hollywood? There's nothing. It's
and they used to have scare zones up there. They used to have scare zones at the entrance. They used to have scare zones at the lower lot. They used to have scare zones everywhere.
There's just too many air quote safe zones.
Universal, for it being this hardcore horror, feels very safe to me.
Yeah.
And predictable as well, and we could get into that once we get into the mazes to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So,
scare zones have never been my favorite part of Halloween Horror Nights, because they're just not what they should be, in my opinion. And I've said this every year. It's not. I feel like we're being overly critical of it, but this is the way I always feel about Horror Nights. Their scare zones aren't what I personally think a scare zone should be, and we do like. The one at the entrance, and I personally like Toxic Tunnel just because of the atmosphere you're forced into, not necessarily because of, amazing decorations or, crowdedness of monsters, but
exactly
for what it could be, for what it is in theory.
I disagree with you to a certain extent, because it's not that for me, the scare zones are poor because you have to go out of your way. A lot of times in the past, scare zones have been incredible because of the theming that they've chosen, like Black Christmas or Corpse, or just the clown entrance in general, or even the Shaun of the Dead scare zone that they had years ago. A lot of that was really, really well done because of the makeup, the music, the settings, a lot of really incredible things that they were doing. And the going out of the way at the time wasn't that big of an issue, but now it's becoming more of an issue for me when I'm looking at the event as a whole. And it just feels like they're not living up to the standard that they have in the past, which is an issue for me, because if you set the bar, it's your job to meet that again, and they haven't.
I just overall, I see where you're coming from, but overall I felt like the avoidable scare zones has always been a pet peeve of mine, and I just feel like over the past 3 years specifically, it's just gotten worse and worse, where they're just restraining the scare zones beyond belief.
Yeah, definitely. Moving forward from the scare zones, let's talk about the mazes. This is the big draw for everybody. It's the high quality sets and types of scares that people love, and there's a lot of mazes that we've loved here. And this year, there's no difference. There are mazes that we love, and there are some mazes that for us had some shortcomings.
Should we start from the top?
Let's just start from the entrance all the way to the back lot. So first maze, it's going to be on your right hand side. It's going to be the Waterworld queue. Is Titans of Terror. Now what that is Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface all put into one maze. And I guess the setup for the maze was a house on Halloween, and this kid is this huge fan of all these characters, and you kind of go into his dream as he dreams about these characters. You interact, or not interact, but you encounter each one separately within their own realm and world.
Yeah.
So I personally, like, this is one of my top favorite ones of this year.
It's my favorite. It's definitely my favorite. And I was skeptical because last year Texas Chainsaw was in the same spot and it was my least favorite. And so it just, I was skeptical because of that. And this one had a Leatherface portion, but it was so much fun.
It was very, very fun. And we got to go in pretty much alone almost when we went in. We were the first ones in the group to go through. So we got almost every single scare, which definitely helps.
Yeah.
I think that if I didn't get every scare and maybe I got one or two, and I would still say this would be probably one of my top mazes, based on the fact that I think the theming that they did was really smart.
The way it flowed was great.
The way it flowed was very, very great too. Also, the fact that it pretty much takes place in Halloween, which is fantastic. You're going into this haunted maze in a technically Halloween themed attraction, which is interesting.
Yeah. It's
a house dressed up for Halloween.
Dressed up for Halloween. They obviously the family and the kid in particular, big fans of, Freddy,
Jason
and Leatherface.
He's sitting in his bed with the mask on.
They even have a little, what was it? Was it a little Jason with the candy bowl, and he's like holding it out?
Yeah, he's just sitting there up front. Yeah, it's
so
fantastic.
there's a whole bunch of decorations, and then you go into the house and you go into the kids' room, and the kids' room is completely decked out with everything from those three characters. He's wearing a mask. I think it's Jason.
Yeah, it's Jason mask.
Yeah.
I think he's wearing a Freddy sweater or something. But ultimately, like, one of my favorite things about this maze, and we'll talk about other mazes as well when we get to them and how they didn't do it as good as this one, is the transition hallways. And for me, because it was utilized correctly and in a very smart manner, because you're going through a dark hallway that transitions you from, the real world to Freddy, from Freddy to Jason, from Jason to Leatherface. Within each hallway is a light pointing at you, that it's a dedicated color that represents whatever character you're hearing sound clips from. So you're being transported to that world via the transition hallway, which I think is ingenious.
It's wonderful.
It's simple and perfect. That gets you in the mood and ready, and you know exactly what's coming up. It's fantastic. And within each realm, I think there was really, really smart scares that were different than a lot of the houses that are there this year.
I think my favorite was the Freddy section.
Freddy, I think, is definitely extremely strong.
Uh-huh.
The chest burster scare?
Yes.
That was awesome.
The baby carriage. Not
and there was also a baby carriage as well. That was fantastic. You could tell the fact that they reused a lot of sets from Freddy vs. Jason and prior years of using Freddy or Jason. But for me in particular, this maze did not bother me with the recycling of those things because I couldn't tell. Yeah. It wasn't like they were using the same room for the same reason.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of props got changed around or got moved in the room and things like that, so it felt a bit different. So overall, I enjoyed this maze thoroughly. We came out with huge smiles on our face.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how much more I can say about it, but just really, really liked it. Definitely my top maze of the year. Definitely
really good scares in there as well.
Yeah.
So, moving forward past Titans of Terror, across the way from the Starbucks, is the Blumhouse, Horrors of Blumhouse maze, which is a mashup of The Purge, Happy Death Day, as well as Sinister. I think the setup for this is fantastic. I think it's a little loose-ended in a bit, though.
Yeah.
You're out in the streets of during the Purge, and you seek refuge in a theater that's having a double feature of Sinister and Happy Death Day. It's a little loose. I mean, I feel like if you didn't look into it, you probably wouldn't get that.
Yeah, because as soon as you enter the theater, you're in the bedroom from Happy Death Day. So if you miss the fact that you're walking into a theater, the whole premise is lost on you.
Pretty much, and then it's just from there, it's vignettes and scares that are from the movies.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So The Purge is basically everything we saw from the Scare Zone last year.
Any iteration of The Purge is pretty much exactly what the opening is.
Yeah. So I mean, it's fine.
A lot of the last Purge movie though, because all the patriotic
Yes, very patriotic
feel to it.
So I mean, that's fine. We all know how we feel about the Purge. We think it's had its day. I wasn't excited to see it back in any form. So I mean, it was fine. It was what it was. I like the idea of the maze being part inside, part outside. That's kind of new.
I enjoy that, actually.
Yeah.
It's a little refreshing.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's all I can really say about it. I wasn't a fan of seeing the Purge back in any form, so it was okay. That's all it is. It's okay. Yeah. And then Happy Death Day we hadn't seen yet. So
you know nothing about the movie going into it. You just know that there's this masked killer going out there.
Basically, you see what you see in the trailer. She wakes up in her bedroom, and then chaos, 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 and then she wakes up in her bedroom again, and then more chaos and more of that, big mask, that doll-looking mask,
whatever it is.
So a lot of that.
A lot of good scares in there, though. There was plenty of scares in that portion.
I did like that portion, the Happy Death Day. It was fun. It wasn't really scary, but it was fun, and it was, I don't know, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that is Sinister, which I haven't seen Sinister either.
Yeah.
Haven't seen Sinister, haven't seen Happy Death Day, haven't seen any of the other than the first Purge movie.
Yeah.
So I feel like this maze is just kind of lost on us a little bit.
A little bit.
I did enjoy the Sinister portion more than I did either Happy Death Day or the Purge.
I agree.
Because the scares were really fun.
Uh-huh.
And there was a perfect scare. The ghoul in the movie, his name's Baghoul, and he comes through movies like film and stuff like that. So there was a really interesting scare where there's a projection on the wall that looks like a movie screen, and Baghoul comes through the screen and scares you. And I think that's really smart.
Yeah, that was super fun. There's also this scene where there was this big round table and a whole bunch of men chopped up on the table. That was cool.
I was very confused.
We have no context because we haven't seen the movie, but we enjoyed it.
Yeah, even though we didn't quite understand the setting of what was going on, it was still visually interesting, and it was still you could still understand to a certain extent what was happening.
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't really need to watch the movie in order to fully enjoy it. I think watching the movie would help so that you're familiar with the scenes that are happening. But overall, without having watched those movies, I still really enjoyed this maze, and a lot of the scares were not just in dark tunnels. Yeah. I mean, the Baghoul scares, were in some dark tunnels, but I feel like that was because of the character and how that movie plays out.
It wasn't
if I were to think
too.
that. It was not all the scares. It was just, I'd say maybe there was 2 or 3 scares that were in the dark. Everything else was environmental, coming out of a window or a wall or something.
Yeah. Should we skip to the lower lot, or should we do the tram?
We'll talk about the tram. I think that's fine because it's still technically on that upper lot. So the tram this year, the Terror Tram, was Titans of Terror featuring Chucky, or hosted by Chucky. So it was Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface out on the back lot, but your tram is technically being driven by Chucky. So he basically says that he's taking you out there to go get killed by all these guys.
Basically, yeah.
And this year I thought it was fun. I thought it was an interesting concept, an interesting setup. I always really like when the back lot. It's funny because when we're talking about scare zones, I don't want them to confine it, but when they're talking about the Terror Tram, I like it when they confine it because the scares are a lot more plentiful. It's easier for somebody to come around a tight corner and scare you than it is for you to just be walking in this open area.
Yeah.
Especially with the Terror Tram, because it makes it feel a little different every year.
Yeah, there were parts of it I liked. I don't know if I liked the fact that the Terror Tram was exactly the same theme, without Chucky. As one of the mazes. It's kind of repetitive. But, that being said, there were... and also just that genre in general is not my favorite. But...
Slasher?
Yeah, not my favorite. I do enjoy some Freddy, but that's pretty much it. Jason is I can take or leave, and Texas Chainsaw, I'll throw out the window. I don't like it at all.
I just imagine you throwing Leatherface out of a window.
I will.
Out of a 2-story building.
I do not like those movies at all. But there were parts that I liked. My favorite was the War of the Worlds crashed plane set, because that was all Freddy, and it was...
different versions.
It was
of Freddy.
different versions of Freddy that you would see in a plane crash setting.
There was a nurse pilot,
and they were all Freddy.
Soldier, firefighter, Freddy, everything.
And then civilian, they were all Freddy. And I thought that was brilliant. So that was my favorite. The rest, it was like, okay, cool. It's Leatherface and Jason stuff that we've seen before. It was okay.
Pretty much,
I feel like that's my theme with this year. It was okay.
I think that's pretty accurate. I think it was okay. I mean, the Terror Tram is really difficult because, it's the same path every year. It's the same thing every year. How do you make that feel different other than having a different theme in it? Yeah. Because it's essentially the same thing every single time.
Half of it's the novelty of just getting out of the tram and walking through the sets.
I think that's pretty much it. That's the reason why I love it so much is the ability to go close to these iconic sets that I've come to know and love so much after watching all these films.
Yeah.
And I think one big problem that I had with this was that I noticed a lot of props that were used in the past.
Yes.
And the issue and the difference between, the Titans of Terror Maze and the Titans of Terror Tram is that these props were mainly a one-trick pony type prop. They do one thing and they're just doing that one thing over and over again every single year that we've seen it.
They weren't reincorporated into a new story. It was just like, hey, remember this cool thing? Here it is again, exactly the same.
Pretty much.
No context.
Pretty much.
So that's why I think it bothered you more.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, how could you beat a whole bunch of Chuckies with chainsaws at the beginning?
That was fun.
That's pretty dang fun. I mean, that is like a tradition for the Terror Tram. Is the beginning and opening statement is just chainsaws.
Yeah.
Which is always really fun. And the ending is chainsaws as well, for that matter. But, it was okay overall.
Yeah.
Had a good time. Wouldn't go out of my way to do it again, though.
Yeah.
Like I would the Maze. The Maze is fantastic.
Yeah, the Maze I'd redo. But the Terror Tram, I could leave. No need to wait in that line again.
Exactly. Now going down to the lower lot, you have Insidious and The Shining. So we'll do Insidious first. Precursor to any of this is we've only done Insidious during the day because of the early entry situation.
Yeah.
So we never got to go into Insidious while it was completely pitch black outside. Which I think would help greatly because there was a lot of scenes. Of the rooms, yeah, there was a lot of scenes where light was bleeding through and you were seeing things you shouldn't have seen and scares you shouldn't have seen. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I think Insidious is such an inferior version of what it has been in the past.
Yeah.
In the past, they've done a fantastic job bringing you into this world of the further and all these really terrifying situations. And this year, it felt like a lot of black hallways, a lot of scares in those black hallways, and very rarely getting a scare within certain environments. Even like when we've walked through it, like 2 times now?
Yeah.
Or something, and even throughout the second walking through, I was like, there's a lot of black hallways and walls in this. There is not a lot of sets.
Yeah, from this point forward, that's going to be our biggest complaint is transition hallways with nothing but black walls and jump scares in those transition hallways. It's like it's an easy way out, honestly, for the maze designers.
But at the same time, like, it's not even transition hallways at this point because it's a black hallway, a black room, a black hallway, a black room, and then you get to it. Then you get to like a themed room.
In the sense of room, black hallway, another room. It's the transition from set to set. That's the easiest way to describe it.
But my point is that you have set, black hallway, black room, black hallway, black room, then a set.
Yeah.
There is a extended period of time where you're not in a themed hallway or room in particular, because there are mazes like some we're going to be talking about very soon, or even honestly it's only coming up because even Titans of Terror didn't really have theme transition. No, actually they did. There was a lot of portions where it was like all themed except for the transition hallways coming from theme to theme, so that those are at least separated.
Yeah.
In this one, it was just lots of black rooms, and like you said, it's going to be kind of a theme for the rest of the night talking about it. And one of our biggest pet peeves is those black rooms and black hallways, and a lot of the scares taking place in those black rooms Kind of like The Exorcist last year. Like, that made sense,
but
though.
The Exorcist made sense. It was done right in The Exorcist just because of the way the maze was set up. You know, it was like
It was like the trailer, the band trailer.
Yeah, it was like a trailer. So it was like a progression of scene to scene to scene, but it was the same room. So it was a progression through time. And so there was like this startling scare in between those progressions. It made sense. It flowed. I thought it was brilliant. But I feel like that they liked that so much last year.
They started using it over and over and over.
They overused it this year. And it doesn't work for every maze. It worked for The Exorcist. And just because it worked for one doesn't mean it works for multiple, and it definitely didn't work for Insidious.
You know, the thing is that those scares are effective sometimes. Like, they do get you.
But when they get so repetitive...
cheap. It feels cheap. It doesn't feel like they worked for the scare at all. It's just a crappy jump scare.
Yeah, I'd much rather have a demon scaring me from behind a doorway than popping out of a black wall.
And they did have moments where, like, characters came out of doorways or walls and stuff, but... If the character wasn't coming out of a black hallway or a black window in those hallways, they were coming out of like these tarps, and I don't know, or not tarps, but they came out of doors that had like the plastic sheets in front of it. I don't know if you've noticed that, but a lot of the time in Halloween Horror Nights mazes, you know, a character will open a door or like a fake wall and they'll come out, or you know, they'll come out of somewhere that isn't recognizable. But I noticed in this one in particular, there's a lot of times where the monsters would come out of these doorways that just had the plastic sheets in front of them, and they would be sitting there waiting, and you could see them in there waiting for those scares to happen. And that's really bothersome, knowing that they're capable of so much more. Yeah.
I mean, but once again, I think that's one of our things with Halloween Horror Nights in general that isn't our favorite, is the repetitiveness of the scares. And I know that it's set up that way so guests all get the same uniform experience.
But they don't get the same uniform experience.
They don't, because if you're right behind someone who keeps getting all the scares, you're not getting any of them. So it's in a way cheating half your guests because they see the scares but they don't get them personally. So at least if it was a little bit more variety, a little bit more freedom for the actors, there would be a chance.
Yeah.
So I mean that has, once again, that's not a new thing. It's we don't like the predictability and the repetitiveness of the scares of Halloween Horror Nights.
I mean, yeah, we've said that in the past too. So, and even on my last show, I've said that on that show too. So it isn't anything new to us or to anybody else that we've said that. Moving forward from Insidious, moving on to The Shining, probably the one that had the most hype behind it. I think to a certain extent lived up to some of the hype, but when you go through a much superior version in Orlando, makes ours look not as good. Because we did enjoy, before going into Orlando, we went into ours and we actually thoroughly enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it, yeah. And so I don't want to take away from that.
Yes. Yeah. I think ours has a lot of merit to it, and I really enjoy a lot of the different rooms that they have in ours. I do think that the transition hallways are utilized too much here.
Yes.
Once again, but I do love how a lot of these rooms, and you'll hear us have a much larger conversation about it with Rick West in the next episode, which, spoiler alert, we'll have a much larger conversation with him about it, but in Orlando. But I do enjoy how they set up kind of Jack Torrance going crazy in the very opening scene of the maze. It kind of sets everything up very, very, very quickly, and visually is easy to understand.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts is you see tons of paper plastered all over the walls. Even the separations that you have to like walk through
are paper.
Are paper that say, all work and no play, yada yada yada. And you can hear the typewriter, and I feel like the detail in this maze is great. They have the carpet and all, and every iconic scene you can think of is in there. There's
the
Danny,
elevator sequence.
Danny in his trike, and he sees the Grady twins. There's the elevator.
Then they're all axed up and stuff, and they're using a really cool Pepper's Ghost effect.
Mm-hmm. They have the elevator sequence, even if they did it not quite how I would have liked. They have the elevator, with the blood gushing out. It's just not. I was a little disappointed in how they did it, But it's okay. They still had it, and then they
Ballroom
had
sequence.
they had the ballroom. They had that bear.
BJ Bear.
Yeah, they had they had the what was the room number?
Shoot,
That
I forgot.
Danny went into?
Yeah, the room
With
that Danny goes
the woman
into.
showering and the old lady. You know, they had all the things you want to see.
All the very iconic
Yes.
moments, which is fantastic
And-
as a fan of the film.
And we love, and then the bathroom scene with the axe.
Hedge maze.
And they had, air quotes, hedge maze. This is where I get disappointed.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hedge maze.
It was the beginning of a hedge maze, black hallways,
was-
all the way to the end.
Yes, it was the beginning of the illusion of a hedge maze. It wasn't even fake greenery, though. It was literally like a what would you call that? Like a sheet,
Mesh
a
netting.
mesh netting that they spray painted green.
A green shit.
Yes, and so you're like, okay, this is supposed to be the hedge maze part. You turn the corner, and it's just black wall, black wall, black wall, black wall, and then the final scene again is that green netting, and so you get the impression
And
that
a
you were in a
frozen
hedge
Jack
maze the
Torrance
whole
that-
time.
That's
Yeah.
proportions are clearly off.
And I was the first time I walked through, it didn't bother me that much. The second time I walked through, I was like, okay,
Come on.
that you need more of a hedge maze than that. And then the kicker was when we went to the back lot, and they have these porta potties.
Oh my god, this made me laugh so hard.
Literally, we walked out of The Shining, we walked to the back lot. And
Through Toxic Tunnel, all the way down.
They have these porta potties that you can use, and they are surrounded by fake hedges.
And Nikki just
I
got
was like-
so mad.
I got so
you just started
mad.
yelling at the
I was
bathrooms.
like, why aren't you in the maze? Like, it would have been fine.
I could not stop laughing. I was dying in the middle of a scare zone.
It was my one, like, I'd say The Shining is like when all is said and done, it's my second favorite of the year.
But it's the most infuriating because they could have easily taken
But-
those up there
But those
and done
hedges,
that.
but those hedges, I can't get over.
Gosh dang hedge maze.
So yes, I did love it. I appreciated it. I went through twice. I would go through like 3 more times. Like, I don't know. That's so specific. That's oddly specific.
I only want to go 3 or 4 more times through this particular maze.
I would go
please.
through several more times, but those hedge mazes are going to bother me every time.
How much is several, Nikki?
I don't know. I'm just saying I would. There are certain mazes.
You would like to go through it more.
There are certain mazes I would never go through again. Saw. But I would go through.
You did not cough through that very, very, very well.
Laundry's done.
And the one thing I do want to touch upon before moving on to the next mazes was I really enjoyed the soundscape of the maze overall.
Yeah.
I loved the sound effects they used. They used all the perfect sound effects. They didn't use the sound effect that I thought they were going to use that I've been referencing this whole entire year.
Yeah.
But it was still really fun to see what they did choose. And the music is just very iconic as well. So when you're exiting the maze, you hear that music that you hear at the very end of the movie. You see Jack Torrance's face in the photo, like he's been there forever. And then you hear the original caretaker say, "You've always been the caretaker." And to me, that's just such an ominous, creepy ending. And I just think that's such a perfect punchline to what the subject matter was really about, as opposed to like these hardcore scares that you're getting within the maze. It was always supposed to be about the creepy, scary, long-lasting feeling than it is about that momentary jump scare.
Yeah.
And I love that feeling at the end. That to me was like the perfect cherry on top.
Yeah, I agree.
So, moving from that, you go through Toxic Tunnel, you go down to the back lot, you go through Urban Inferno. And
If you want to.
If you want to. You could definitely go into the bathrooms with the hedge maze.
Go into the hedge maze porta
bathrooms.
potties. They're very nice.
You might find dead Jack Torrance in there. Froze on the porta potty. And the first maze that you come across is American Horror Story on your right-hand side. And this is another one of my favorites this year. I just think it was hitting on all cylinders every time we've gone through, and it's done perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It was based on Roanoke, and that was a great season, and it was a great maze. They translated it very well. Like, all of the memorable things were in it, and I think our only sticking point was the facade.
The facade was pretty much just a recycled version of last year's.
Yeah.
And just when you look at the facade of a lot of the different mazes that they have at Halloween Horror Nights, all of them stand out except for this one. I understand that they're saying, like, you're going into the TV now. It's a TV show, and you're going to go into it.
And I think that worked last year when it was a mashup. It's like, how could you be specific to one season when you were mashing up 3? But with Roanoke, they have a very big, very beautiful house. They could have made a facade of.
But you're in the house most of the time, anyhow.
So I think it was a missed opportunity. I think it was an easy way to recycle something. But hey, the maze inside was very good, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I definitely agree. And one of the bigger pieces of the reason why I liked it was the fact that there really wasn't a lot of black hallways.
There wasn't.
If any at all. I mean, there were some scenes that were kind of lacking in decor, but at least there was something in there that was, you know, giving you a sense of where you are as opposed to just black walls and stupid scares within those black walls.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the scares are coming from the environment. And there was even things in there that we didn't see before the first time going through, especially being American Horror Story fans. You know, noticing the smaller details, which is really what Halloween Horror Nights is about.
Yeah.
Is because their mazes are so detailed that it does take a second, a third, a fourth time to realize what they're really doing in those mazes. And this is a perfect example of what they are capable of, which makes it even more maddening when you look at the other mazes this year and see that they couldn't do that with those.
Yeah.
So, I mean, overall, I just really love the aspect. One of my favorite things, and it's so simple because I'm such a big dork, is the fact that one of the scares they had, or two of the scares they had, were not popping out of a door. They were not popping out of a window or a small passageway or anything. They were out in the open, and they were just messing with people. And I loved it because you don't see that often.
Yeah, it's very rare for a Halloween Horror Nights maze.
Very, very rare. Like, a guy was pretending like he was a statue, and he would throw, like, his staff in your face.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic because you're so busy watching the butcher pull frickin' the intestines out of this guy that you're not paying attention to the guy next to them.
Yeah.
The butcher! I kept yelling that out throughout the entire maze. Every time the butcher would come out of, like, a window or a wall, I'm like, the butcher! So that was interesting.
Yeah.
But this is definitely top-notch maze for us. Like, this was fantastic. Lots of good scares. Lots of really good pacing. Fantastic set design. Fantastic maze design overall.
Yep, I'd agree. What should we do next?
Next maze is Ash versus Evil Dead, coming up on the left-hand side on the back lot.
Groovy.
Groovy. This one I was outside of The Shining. I think this was the one I was most excited for.
Yeah, we've seen the show. We saw the first season, not the second.
And I've seen all the movies. I'm a huge fan of that character as a whole, and I think he lends himself to, at least those movies and the show lend themselves to being a really cool maze.
Yeah.
As well as with just an underlying sense of humor.
Yeah.
Which I think is hard to do. Which I think the sense of humor definitely worked because it was a little bit more subtle.
There were very funny Ash moments. You know, where just he would do little things that
he would just be like all the masks, which also we didn't mention about The Shining. Like The Shining was all full covered masks that looked like Jack Torrance, like frozen in one facial expression.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ash vs. Evil Dead. Is all the Ashes had a full mask that were frozen in one expression. So when they would
for uniformity,
when they would try to talk to a line, they would have to mime with their hands and move their head around a lot in order for it to kind of make sense, you know, because they can't move their mouths.
Yeah.
But, you know, there'd be a scene where Ash jumps, like a monster jumps out of like a scare pop window, and then Ash comes out of another window and like saws him, tries to like saw him, and then he would like look at the guest and go, "What's up?" And then go back into his hiding place, which there's a lot of attitude and a lot of aggression with those scare actors in this maze in particular, which I really appreciated.
Yeah. We love the facade, his
trailer.
And, you know, clothes drying on the line, the whole shebang. And then the first thing you walk into is this trailer with that granny, you know,
evil granny.
Deadite.
Deadite, that's correct.
I said the right thing. And that whole scene was great. And it was just a fun maze. It wasn't our favorite, but there were very fun portions and a lot of things that were familiar that you're like, oh yeah, like look at that, I remember that, you know. So it was a fun maze. It wasn't scary.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And this maze also utilized transition hallways.
Yeah.
They had nothing in them, which I think is a complete cop-out because the movies, as well as the TV show, give you plenty of options of where to go, where to take your guests, and put them in that environment. And I think it's just a cheap thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially given the fact that you could easily just make it a freaking forest. I don't really care what you make it.
Yeah, and not just some twigs in a corner either.
Yeah, seriously.
Like you have the budget, just stick a few more trees in there.
Yeah, so. And I wish, like, they included a little bit more of, like, Ash's, like, famous catchphrases a little bit more. Like, I know that a lot of the catchphrases in particular were dedicated to the movies, and they wouldn't necessarily fit within that, in this realm. But, like, even, like, in Army of Darkness, like, when he's in his convenience store, he's like, "Yo, she bitch." Like, I wish he said that in this maze, because that's funny.
Yeah.
And that's what this maze is about. And they did have characters that were saying kind of funny things. But, you know, they didn't even have, like, as opposed to Orlando, where they had those characters say things that were even borderline extremely inappropriate, but still really funny.
Yeah.
You know, I wish that they would have incorporated that just a bit more. They did have moments, for sure.
They did have moments.
And there was definitely moments for fans to freak out over, because I know that I was walking through, and you had no idea what the hell was going on. I'm like, oh my god, there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Oh my god, this is fantastic.
All that I noticed is that they had a laser disc on a record player. That thing wouldn't play.
That really bothered you.
It did.
Logistically, it would never work.
It wouldn't work. I mean, it looks cool, yeah, but it's a laser disc.
Sorry, Nikki.
It's alright. That bothered me.
Have you tried it before?
What happens?
I'm asking you, have you tried it before?
No.
Then don't knock it.
Okay.
You don't know what it does.
Okay.
It's probably, like, awesome.
I bet you just hear, like,
couldn't even think of what to say.
Screeching.
Just
Probably.
What if it just starts playing the movie?
That'd be fun.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we should try it.
Who knew?
Let's buy a laser disc.
No, let's not do that,
Okay.
please, for the love of God. I want to keep my record player pristine.
Okay.
As much as possible. Moving on from Laserdiscs on record players, we're going to be talking about Saw, the Games of Jigsaw, the best name for a maze.
Do we have to?
This is essentially, I wouldn't even really classify this as a maze. Like, I would classify it as a looky-loo, rubbernecking walkthrough.
A viewing experience.
Every room was pretty much a passive experience, watching somebody either torture themselves or die, and there were scares with, like, the pig mask guy or something.
It was pretty much only a pig mask.
It was pretty much only the pig mask, but I don't feel like the placement of the scares, maybe outside of one or two of them, were that great. And like I said, every single time, it was those plastic strips over the doors, and you would know where they're coming out from.
Yeah. And
It was just so simple and easy to see where they were coming from.
And overall, it was just a very passive experience. You didn't feel like you were in it at all. You just felt like a spectator. So that sense of dread was gone.
Really quickly, too. And it's almost boring.
A little bit.
It's almost boring, and that really sucks because the Saw films lend themselves easily to an experience like this. And we've had Saw mazes in the past that were fantastic.
Yeah, we saw all the best parts this year.
Yeah.
I think that was the worst part. It was like, okay, that was cool 2 years ago.
It was the best ofs.
Yeah, it pretty much was the best of. And then they had a little bit of the new movie, but like 1 or 2 scenes, and that was it. And it was lacking.
It was a little lackluster. Yeah. And also one of the things that I saw that made me laugh, but at the same time I was like, ooh, that's not good form, is there's a scene where a pendulum is cutting a guy in half. And I thought the pendulum was on its own motorized system where it does the same thing over and over again. But no, the pig guy jumps out, scares everybody. Well, not tries to scare everybody because he's not scaring anyone what he's doing. He looks at the pendulum, losing speed, and he grabs it and lifts it up and lets it go again. So he has to restart the pendulum.
It's a pig-motored pendulum.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Powered by bacon.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. This maze as a whole just left a sour taste in my mouth. Like, we came out the second time after going through, and we're like, yep, never doing that again. I'm not wasting my time.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go through this.
Then we did it again anyway.
No, that was the second time. First time we were like, that wasn't very good. Maybe it was bad timing. And we got every single scare this time, and none of them worked.
Yeah.
It didn't nothing happened. And it just, overall, I feel it was just lacking big time.
Yeah. I agree. It was definitely on the bottom of the totem pole for me in the mazes, you know?
I'd say out of every single maze, this is on the lowest.
Yeah.
The lowest of the low.
I definitely agree. So, yeah, that's it. That's the last of our mazes. And other than that, they have the Jabberwockies show, which we did not get to see. I did enjoy it.
It's a dance group.
I enjoyed it last year. Gabe's not the biggest fan because, I mean, I feel like you feel like there should be something else for Halloween Horror Nights in particular. Like, Jabberwockies could very well be a daytime
there's
show.
To me, there's nothing Halloween about Jabberwockies.
They wear masks. Ooh, you know, it's like, it's not scary.
Even if the theming was slightly Halloween-y, there's still nothing Halloween about a dance troupe.
Yeah.
Even Academy of Villains, and I personally like Academy of Villains more than I like Jabberwockies, but even then, I'm like, I don't want to watch Academy of Villains. I want to watch something else that has something to do with Halloween. And I personally miss Bill and Ted so much.
Yeah, me too.
Even if that concept and even if that IP is falling on deaf ears with the younger crowd because nobody really knows who Bill and Ted are, I think overall the experience of a show like that makes the event more well-rounded. And I guess Jabberwockies does that too, but for me personally, I'd rather have a show like Bill and Ted or The Hanging or whatever it may be as opposed to just a dance troupe.
You're never gonna leave a Jabberwocky show and want to talk about it more, you know. But you leave a Bill and Ted's, you leave The Hanging at Knott's.
You talk about all the jokes.
You talk about it the next day, even, you know, or you want to see it again to see things you might have missed. And with Jabberwockies, it's not the same feel. It's cool, it's fun, but it's not. It's
momentary.
And it's just a fun thing to watch, but it's not what we're used to with like a scary event.
Yeah, and overall, I think Halloween Horror Nights really needs another show or something else to really have like a crowd suck, because one of the main issues with the event is that the lines just get way too long for an event that doesn't have that much going on for it. So each line gets really, really long, and then how are people supposed to enjoy the event if you're just buying a general ticket? To a certain extent, and something that we've said before, is that we don't do that event without a front of line because there's zero way to get everything done without having to do early entry, which means you skip every scare zone because they're not even open, or you have to go multiple nights, which is what we ended up doing.
Yeah.
Because we had a special ticket offer, and it was cheaper than doing one night with front of line.
Because one night with front of the line is crazy expensive now.
I personally do not believe that the price for front of line for a Halloween Horror Nights is worth it.
No.
Especially given what they were delivering this year. I would have been extremely mad if I had purchased 2 front of line tickets. That's almost like nearly $500 for the night we wanted to go.
Yeah.
And experience what we experienced. I would have been so disappointed.
You can get everything done if you do early entry. If you're in the park by 5... It's not the most convenient way to experience the event.
Nor the most ideal.
But you can get everything done. So, I mean, we broke all our rules this year. It's like our rule was never go to Halloween Horror Nights without front of the line. And here we are, we went twice without front of the line. But we did everything in the most bizarre way possible. It's if we with the last time we went, we left at 8 because we had finished everything.
Yeah, and
except Jabberwockies.
But I also even have an issue with the early entry. It's like, okay, you have an event.
The park is still open.
The park is still open, which is just a debacle getting them, like Universal having to separate regular daytime guests from the Halloween Horror Nights group of people. So that's just a debacle. But when you have an event that you fully know that people cannot enjoy every single maze because it gets that crowded, and your excuse and your option is, oh, just come in early, but you won't be able to see any of the scare zones, and you'll do the mazes during the daytime, and that affects the quality of the maze. I don't think that is a very good, option.
I feel like they oversell the event banking on people doing early entry and leaving early.
That makes a lot of sense to me. And I just think it's such a cop-out.
Yeah.
Because if you do early entry and you finish like at 8:30 at night because you don't want to see Jabberwockies like we did, then you literally have to go out of your way in order to experience those scare zones, and knowing full well that if the lines are 2 hours long, you're not going to go wait in them. So you're walking just to go see those extra things, which is the reason why those scare zones should be in areas that you have to walk through so that at least people can see them.
Yeah.
Especially in an event where you're saying, oh, you have to do early entry if you want to do everything in one night. Because there's no way in hell you're going to do every single maze in one night without doing early entry. On a busy night.
You have to do early entry. If you're not doing front of the line, you have to do
on a busy night, I want to be
entry.
specific about that.
Which,
because even if it's on a
to
low,
be
low,
fair,
low level
most
night,
most nights are busy nights. Even
Yeah.
even in September, they were selling out. They were at
Yeah.
capacity. So it's like you'd be hard pressed to find a non-busy night now because they sell out so often, and it is a very popular event. And I think just given all that, I feel like they don't do enough for their guests. I feel like they oversell, they overprice, and honestly, in the last few years, the quality has gone down.
it has gone down.
And what they offer has gone down. They and a whole point we didn't even touch on is I miss their original mazes. I feel like they rely too much on IPs, but that's what they're known for here in Hollywood, and so I can't give them too much flack for that because they do what they're good at, and right now they are good at IPs. And, maybe that'll change in the future. And right now that's what it is. And people love it. I mean, they sell out every night. I would wish to see a little bit more for me personally.
And I think the reason why we feel the way we do is because we have seen Halloween Horror Nights running on all cylinders, delivering, and knowing that they're capable of it. Like, I'm a broken record. I've said this a million times already, is that I know that they're capable of delivering a fantastic event. So when they don't, I get mad because I know that you can do it. So why aren't you?
Yeah.
So there is zero reason for that to be happening. And I think there was, I from what I understand, John Murdy wasn't around 100%. I saw on Twitter that he was going to Ireland a lot. So maybe that has to do with it, just not enough leadership to get all the things together and feel cohesive within each maze.
Yeah, maybe. I just think that it's not a strong year. And I mean, that happens in every event, you know?
Events have, it's an ebb and flow.
Yeah.
They get good, they get bad, they get worse, they get even better.
I just think this year, personally, for me, wasn't very strong. And, I can hope for the best for next year, and we're gonna go. It's not like...
Yeah, there's no...
Yeah.
who are we joking? We're gonna go.
Yeah, so all that we can do is hope for the best for next year, and hopefully, things are switched up a little. And,
fixed.
Yeah, and I just want to see them go out of the box a bit. Just, go out of your comfort zone, because I feel like they are deep in their comfort zone, and they need to try different things. They need to.
I completely
agree. They need to go to a few more haunted events outside of their own. Just see what people do, and you know what? It's okay to take inspiration and use it. Just don't rely on the same thing year after year after year. Please expand your horizons. Halloween Horror Nights, please.
I completely agree, and I think that if people wanted to go to this year's event, I say go. 100%.
You'll have fun.
You'll have fun. I think that the regular general admission ticket price is definitely worth what you're getting. I think it's for sure worth it, in my opinion.
Do early entry.
Do early entry. If you do early entry, then you'll be able to get everything done. But you're getting Jabberwockies, you're getting Terror Tram, you're getting all these mazes. And if you do early entry, you'll be able to do pretty much everything in the night. And then you'll have an early night, and then you can go get some dessert in City Walk or something.
Or go into Moe's and wait for an hour to get a beer.
Pretty much. Which, that is a new thing this year.
Yes.
Beer.
Only in Moe's, and then the garden.
The taco truck.
Yeah, the
beer garden area. Which, it looks like a debacle in general, because you can't really cross. You have to have, guidance to cross, and then the lines to get beer are insane because people want beer at this event, which I think it's about time that they're serving beer. I think they just don't have to be so strict about it.
Strict, yeah.
So, clearly the security guards aren't strict. I don't know if I've shared this story on the air or not, but... we were going through security and someone stopped this girl who had alcohol in her bag, and he's like, you can't have this, so go throw it away. She took it from his hands and just drank it right in front of him and then threw it away, and then he let her go.
Then he's like, okay, you
I'm
can
like,
go
you
through
literally
now.
just broke a law. You drank in public.
Yeah.
What is happening?
I think that was just a case of a security guard who was like, this is new. I've never experienced this before. I don't know what to do. Well, the alcohol's gone. Just go. It's
just get out of here, please.
She just probably shocked the poor security guy.
Yeah, probably.
But still, it's like, I don't know. That was just something I didn't expect to see. Like, oh, I have this alcohol I'm not supposed to have. Let me just chug it in front of the security. That'll be fine. It was weird. But, yeah, I don't know. People drink at the event, so just loosen up the restrictions on it maybe a little.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Halloween Horror Nights this year in Hollywood?
I think I had fun, but I went in expecting a certain event, and I got what I expected. I wasn't reaching for the stars. I wasn't going and thinking like, oh, this is going to be the best event ever. I went in knowing what I was probably going to see, and that's what I saw. So I had a good time, and I'll go back next year.
I definitely had fun, and I will definitely go back next year. But if I were to say one thing off the top of my head right now about this year's event, it would be open Hogsmeade.
Yes, please. Please. And put Dementors in there, but just open Hogsmeade if Dementors are too
That would be such
much.
a huge crowd suck, too.
Yeah.
But I know that they probably want to keep that for the daytime guests, but still, it would really help with crowds if you open that up.
Let's do it.
And maybe add Slaughter World back in, but that's just
Slaughter World, yeah.
So, but overall, I enjoyed the event, and we're going back next year. We already know that, so it's going to be fantastic. And if you guys want to learn a little bit more about Halloween Horror Nights here in Hollywood or Orlando, you can head over to HalloweenHorrorNights.com. You can figure out how you buy your tickets and stuff like that if you want to go and experience a lot of these pretty cool mazes. So that pretty much wraps up our Halloween Horror Nights episode.
Yeah.
Which we're going to be following up with another Halloween Horror Nights episode with Rick West and Johanna Atalano from Midsummer Scream and Theme Park Adventure.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that one.
So that one's not going to be, that one's going to come out pretty soon after this one. So it'll be our Halloween special in a way, because it's like Halloween's going to be like a day after, because we release on Mondays.
It'll be out on the 30th.
Yes.
Yes.
So, really looking forward to releasing that one. It was a really great conversation, and we couldn't be more thankful to have them on the show and share with us their expertise of haunts and Halloween in general, because they're just as dorky as us.
Yeah.
May not be as extrovert about their dorkiness as we are, but they're definitely as dorky as we are.
Their opinions are not always the same.
That's true.
We found out.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
And then we all disagreed too at certain times, which was really fun. Podcasts are always so much more fun when you're disagreeing with somebody.
I disagree with you all the time. Is that why I
disagree with you now.
Okay.
Yes, that may be the reason why you're having so much fun. It's because you disagree with me constantly. But you should know you should disagree, because I'm always right, because I'm a man.
I disagree.
And as a man, I know that I'm always right.
You can't even say it with a straight face.
No, because I'm mostly wrong.
Yeah.
So that's
I
fine.
agree with you on that.
I admit that. Was that the door?
I think so.
No, just ignore it.
Okay.
I don't want to answer right now.
It's like midnight. We're recording this super late. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know who would be knocking at midnight.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's fine. We'll just ignore it. We'll keep going.
Okay.
So that pretty much wraps everything up, guys. Thank you so much for listening to us babble about Halloween Horror Nights this year, as well as every other Halloween episode that we've had so far. Really appreciate it. If you guys are new to the show, we are the Theme Park Duo. Welcome. Thank you for listening to this episode. I definitely think you should definitely go back and listen to a lot of our other episodes to get to know who we are.
Yeah, we're not always as pessimistic.
Yes, that is truth. So definitely go back and listen, but thank you so much for tuning in, and everybody else who tunes in every single week and every other week when we have our schedule like that, who tune in every episode to hear us babble about stupid, silly, dorky theme park goodness all the time.
Yep.
So, and then if you're really, really enjoying the show, make sure you head over to iTunes or Stitcher or anywhere else you can leave a 5-star written review for us in the show, because it would greatly increase our chances of other people finding us and enjoying us like you are right now. Now, Nikki, where can people follow you?
You can follow me.
Oh, no, not you. The show. Because I'm dumb. I'm stupid. I'm stupid dumb.
Why can't I just say mine first?
Well, because the show first and then you second.
You can follow me on Twitter at NikkiM_313.
Did you just purposefully go against what I said?
Yes.
Just because you wanted to?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And you can follow the show everywhere at Theme Park Duo. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, etc.
You're just taking over, aren't you?
Yes.
You want to say mine for me too?
No.
Why?
Because I don't know what you say next.
Because it's my line that I say.
Back to you, Gabe. Where can they find you?
Oh, Jesus. This is intense. Is this how it's like to be on the other end?
Yeah. Where can they find you, Gabe?
Right here. In my seat. In the City of Angels. You can follow me at Lakers793 on Twitter. And like Nikki said, we're Theme Park Duo everywhere on all social media platforms. So make sure you check us all out. And if you want to contact us, you can contact us at themeparkduo@gmail.com. Seriously, if someone's seriously knocking at midnight?
I don't want to go get it. You can go get it.
No, I'm not going to answer at midnight. That's seriously creepy. I'm not going to do that. I'm not answering the door.
Yeah.
I'm seriously not answering the door.
Okay.
We'll end the show here. Thank you for listening, everybody, and always remember the most important thing of all: there's always a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. See ya.